What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo spoiler summary. Today we are going to be going over all of the new information that has come out in regards to chapter 22, and wow, I have just got to say, the last couple of chapters have really been on a generational run, just getting better and better, and this one is no different. We actually are going to get something that I did not think was possible, and even though it's over very quickly, I think you're all going to enjoy it just as much as I did. Before we get into the full chapter, please, if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the hype button. I appreciate all of you guys watching. And most importantly, just remember that this is not a rehosting of the chapter. This is not a market substitute. This is only my reaction, review, and commentary and transformed content in regard to the new information coming out about the Modulo spoilers. So let's get right into this chapter because there is a lot to talk about, guys. Fresh off of the heels of last chapter, we know it ended with Itadori Yuji, Maru, and Mahito ending up in the world of souls that essentially acts as a limbo and purgatory between all living things and existence. With Yuji and Maru partnering up, they have decided that they are going to create quote-unquote harmony between the Earthlings and the Sumerian people, and the only way to do that is by solving the Kallion Cursed Spirit crisis. Maru's idea of that being to make it so Japanese people do not have cursed spirits be born around them. And by eliminating cursed spirits entirely, they should get rid of any form of conflict between these two peoples. Yuji somewhat understands what Maru is trying to do, especially with the contents of the quote-unquote merger that they're about to begin. Using all of Okotsu's stored cursed energy, the Muru rocks that make up the non-act spaceship, as well as Mahito's idol transfiguration that is specifically able to manipulate and change the identity of the souls of Japanese people. Maru says this is definitely something that can be done. However, because Mahito is someone that won't follow suit and he doesn't want to listen to what Yuji and Maru want to do, he is going to need to be subdued and subjugated in order for this technique to take place. Yuji wonders if subjugation basically means defeating in a battle, and Maru says that he's correct, asking if he should do it, but Yuji says that he'll definitely handle Mahito himself, and that his only concern is that he might accidentally exercise and kill Mahito for good. And if they disappear, then the whole harmony plan is completely out of whack and foobar. But Maru does confirm that because this place is the passage of souls, a limbo in between, no one here has a physical body except Yuji and Maru, meaning that even if Mahito is destroyed, defeated, obliterated, turned to dust, he will just reform. Death is impossible in the world of souls. He can only be defeated and subjugated. And Yuji squats down next to Mahito and says, "Hey, he said we could tear this place apart in a fight if we wanted to. Are you in for that?" And Mahito wastes absolutely no time, immediately swiping his hand and making Yuji jump back. And Mahito is angry, taking on a feeling of revenge that he's held inside of him for over 70 years, yelling at Yuji to tell him to stop looking down on him. Suddenly, the world of souls transforms into Shibuya, place of Yuji and Mahito's final battle. And as if we're going back through old times, Mahito puts his hands on the ground just like he did at the very start of their 1v1, changing the entire environment around Yuji into his own plaything for Mahito to send attacks at Yuji with. Mahito is enthralled because he can't die, but because Yuji has a body, Yuji definitely can, meaning Mahito can fight without holding back at all. And because this place is completely formed of a world of souls, everything in it is something that Mahito can control. He's essentially in a perfect field spell that boosts his power, as everything, the buildings, the floor, everything inside, even Yuji himself can be manifested and manipulated by Mahito's idol transfiguration. And wasting no time as he throws more attacks at Yuji and surrounds him entirely in matter, Mahito casts domain expansion to finish the job instantly. And in one of the most funniest things that I have ever seen in my entire life, probably, in the middle of Mahito yelling the words domain expansion, he's cut off and interrupted because his tongue and his hands that have formed in his mouth that make the hand sign have been completely sliced and diced before we get the ultimate double spread of the entire world of Shibuya. The entire world of the soul that Mahito was just idly transfiguring is immediately cut into square blocks, showing how far Yuji has come and mastered the dismantle technique, absolutely cleaving through everything that Mahito has summoned with just basic attacks, not once casting a counter domain or anything of the sort. And as Mahito begins to crumble, dismantle, and fall apart, apart, Yuji grabs onto the part of his head that holds onto his brain and subtly asks Mahito if he was always this weak. Mahito is left with this look of disbelief on his face permanently as Yuji just tosses that piece of his brain towards Maru to be used in the merger. Maru asks if there's anything wrong with Yuji, and Yuji says no, he's just wondering if since Mahito has been in the world of souls this whole time, he wonders if Mahito might have messed with any of his dead comrades. But Maru confirms that that's not possible, as Mahito can't interfere with any living beings or other souls that exist in this world besides his own. Yuji asks, isn't that the whole point of idol transfiguration in the first place? But Maru confirms that, yeah, but Mahito hasn't had that much cursed energy since he stayed in limbo this entire time. Earlier, Mahito only regained his strength due to the influence of Maru's harmony and chaos, making Yuji laugh because he's just blown away by the fact Maru has been able to understand and explain almost everything so far. Maru refusing to take credit and saying he only knows these things because they're currently residing in this world of knowledge, this world of souls. And they put everything that they need for the quote-unquote merger together in this small little cart. Mahito's brain, which has been turned into a small little doll, which is just perfect for the amount of torture Mahito has done to all of these people throughout his life. The cursed ring, Yuki's soul book, the Muru stones, everything they need from here on out in order to create absolute harmony. The last thing that Maru needs is to fully understand what cursed spirits are in regards to the earth itself and why and how they're different from Kallion, which Yuji is finally able to explain and fully lay out for Maru, giving the full entire details of how cursed spirits are born from the cursed energy and negativity that leaks from humans, a phenomenon that is observed to only take place in Japan as of right now. And Yuji says that in order to create a world where cursed spirits are no longer born, he gives the two options that were laid out by Yuki Tsukumo from way earlier on in the mainline series: either eliminate cursed energy entirely or turn everyone in Japan into Jujutsu sorcerers. And thankfully, Yuki's notebook fully explains how to accomplish either or situation. Maru, however, correctly comes to the deduction that making everyone sorcerers is not the answer to the problem, because even though cursed spirits would be completely reduced to nothing, the harm of curse users that would begin to pop up is going to run rampant. So therefore, they wish to consider option 1, which would remove cursed energy from everyone. While that does pose the issue of everyone being born with a heavenly restriction like Toji Fushiguro and Tsurugi, apparently that option does not happen unless they came from a situation with large amounts of curse energy. So Maki Zenin and Mai Zenin, Toji being born in the Zenin clan, Tsurugi being born from the Okotsu lineage. It's a very specific and special case that doesn't happen to everyone. That makes option 1 their best option. However, if they take cursed energy away from only the Earthlings, it just creates friction and chances for problems later, meaning that the only way for all of this to happen would be Sumerians and Earthlings getting cursed energy removed from them entirely. Yuji knows that that's a lot to ask, and he's pretty surprised that Maru would come to that point. Yuji asks why Maru would be willing to go this far for Earth, and he admits that it's all atonement because of the amount of trouble they caused. And at the very least, he wants to be able to let the Earthlings know that they at least ended up as a better planet and society by meeting the Sumerian people. Yuji says he's sorry, he understands why Maru would come to that conclusion, but he knows and wants to acknowledge that what they're about to do is a humongous sin, because in exchange for safety, they're going to be stripping the future away from every human and Sumerian on the world. And Yuji brings up a couple of examples of how that might be the case. Now that aliens are here, as Usami figured, the research and production of cursed energy as an energy source could have skyrocketed and become a very great piece of technology for the future. And in 100 years from now, once things like oil and all other natural resources have been exhausted completely from the planet, cursed energy might be the only thing that the Earth has left to rely on. And if they erase that possibility, they might be solving issues now that may just create problems 300 years in the future. And on top of all of this, they're basically just manipulating every Earthling's body without their consent. They can act like they're doing such a good thing, but in reality, they're taking away people's autonomy. And realizing this, Maru begins to sweat, realizing what is he supposed to do if this isn't the right action. But Yuji says despite all of these bad sides, he says he's still willing to do what they have to do. This makes Maru pause for a second, wondering if it's really okay for Yuji to do this. Yuji says because he believes it's what's right. If he's gonna be completely honest, going based off the way that he ages, Yuji assumes that he's probably going to live for about another 300 years. So considering Yuji will be alive for another couple of generations, doing what they're about to do, Yuji will be the sole person that will be able to stick around and make sure nothing bad actually happens. And if that future ever comes where they find out they made the wrong decision, Yuji will still be around to take punishment and atone for it. Yuji quickly stops himself for a minute, wondering if cursed energy was to completely disappear, that his immortality might go away, but Maru clarifies that he doesn't intend to take cursed energy away from anyone that already has it. People like Deborah, people like Tsurugi and Yuka will all still have their techniques and abilities, as Maru doesn't feel like it's right to completely change the lives of people who have already been living with cursed energy and techniques their whole life. Limiting the new restriction that they're about to do on cursed energy to only non-sorcerers so they can't unlock new abilities, and any human that is born from this point on. And with humans and Sumerians taken care of, they move on next to eliminating cursed spirits for good. But Yuji stops Maru and says, actually, even if we remove cursed energy from the Japanese, cursed spirits are probably still going to continue to exist, making Maru have the craziest face, as if they've gotten this far about to do everything and the main issue that they were looking to solve may not be solved at all. But unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait until next chapter to see what the reason is that Yuji still thinks cursed spirits will always be born, because that is where the chapter ends. And I've gotta say, for getting a little bit more clarification on this new merger that they plan to do, as well as getting a round 3 to Yuji vs Mahito, awesome chapter in my eyes. This really made my day reading this. And the editor's note leaves us with a question: is harmony in the world completely impossible, considering cursed spirits might not be able to be gotten rid of entirely? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the spoilers. Again, keep in mind these are still rough translations, so we're always gotta wait for the official to get the full clarification of what's going on. Support the official release any way that you possibly can, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.